Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Olivia Summerhill, who is a divorce financial consultant with the Summerhill Firm. Olivia, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me today.
Hey, so we are always talking in marketing about know your audience, find a niche, find a target audience, and it looks like you really have. So in your financial planning, you work with people that are facing and going through divorce. So I want to dive into that. But before we do, give us a little bit of your background and what led you down your entrepreneurial path.
So I've been in finance and wealth management and banking for right at a decade and loved what I was doing, still do, but I saw a huge need for women divorcing and coming to me post-divorce. And it was just one of those things where the light bulb went off. I can absolutely help these women during divorce not make financial mistakes. So ended up starting my firm instead of overworking and overexerting myself and trying to add divorce to my practice of, everything else I was doing with insurance and investment planning and retirement planning. So I started my firm specifically just to work with that niche and give them the attention they deserved.
Yeah. Well, that's a neat way you put it. You didn't just handle people facing divorce as an afterthought or as a bullet point of your services. You're all in.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. I think that's very rare.
I know. Well, and I feel like the struggle a lot of people would be like, yeah, but what if I have a client that needs blah? Well, it's not like if they know that you help people with their finances and financial planning and restructuring or whatever that is going to come up. It's not like, hey, guess what, Olivia, I'm not facing a divorce. But can you still help me? Of course. But your main focus is, so what about, what do you find is one of the first steps that when someone comes to you, what are you looking for to solve in your first initiatives with them?
My first thing is to just listen to what their pain is. And I think we all strive to do that in whatever entrepreneurial path we go, is to listen to the client. But I don't know if we all actually listen. Yeah. So I just sit there and listen. It's the easiest job in the world. And that's what I'm just looking to see what they need. And if I can't help them, I will be extremely blunt and give them resources. So anyone listening today, you're not going to be a good fit for everyone. So always have a backup of where you can send someone instead of just saying, no, I can't help you.
100%. And when you do that, you come off as that trusted advisor, as the educator, and as an advocate. And back in the day, years ago, I remember reading a book, and I read through it on my highlights every so often, but by Chet Holmes, called The Ultimate Sales Machine. And he really twisted selling around to go, look, just figure out what people need and then teach them. And then be an educator. And when you do that, you come off as that advocate, because then you're not going, buy this widget or do this thing. You're now just kind of guiding them.
Exactly.
And so you're a big book reader. Have you read the book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller?
No, but I'm going to write that down.
That's a really good one.
Great.
And it kind of ties in, one of his teachings ties in with what you just said, which is you need to be the guide. The hero of your story is the ladies you're working with. You're not the hero. Now, you do heroic things, exactly. and that's wonderful, but you're the guide. You're coming alongside them going, hey. So I think that's a really big piece of the puzzle is if they were feeling like you were trying to squeeze them into something and they feel pushed and they sold, and nobody wants that.
No, nope. I don't sell anything. I actually don't even manage their assets. And I only work with divorcing women or those who are post-divorce recently. So I actually don't do anything else outside of divorce. So you
don't manage assets. What does that look like?
Nope. So most financial planners, advisors, consultants, what I do is different because I advocate for them during the divorce. I educate them during the divorce. I make sure that the red flags are taken care of. All the finances are absolutely what it should be for her specifically. And then I send her, after she has all her boundaries in place and she knows what she's doing and has the confidence to make it on her own, then I send her to the right financial planner who will not sell her on their products, but will actually take care of her, 40, 50, 60 million that she gets post-divorce. So I don't even manage the assets. Again, I have the easiest job in the world. It's so much fun.
And did you ever see the movie? My family watches the movie White Christmas every season. Do you ever watch that one?
I've seen it years ago. So go tell me,
what you're going to say. There's a part in there that reminds me, or is a lead into what I was going to say about your comment there, because it's so spectacular. Everyone has an angle, right? So typically, if it's like, you're working with women that are in a very vulnerable situation, and you could get preyed on, P-R-E-Y, preyed on, if they could get preyed on. Well, to hear you say, here's all the things you need to do, so give me your gazillions of dollars and I'll do. Now it's like, but you have vetted out people that you know, like, and trust, and will be a good fiduciary for these, your clients, and you're just giving them the blueprint. And I think that just gives even more of an arm's length distance. You don't have an angle. Your angle is, let me just kind of tell you what steps to expect. And then it's up to the client to, maybe you don't even give one name. Maybe you give a handful of names for them to vet. Yep.
Exactly. Because, even if you think about it, let's say in the divorce, there's 5, 6 properties internationally. And when I would be vying for their money afterwards to manage, I would tell them to sell all the properties, take it in cash, then you can put it under my asset management, right? But I actually have no conflict of interest. I have no skin in the game to tell them information that might be my own bias to gain some kind of, benefit for me. So you're right. It depends on who it is. It can 1, 2, 3 referrals, depends.
Yep, that makes total sense. So when you have someone that comes to you, typically, what is the first step that you're taking? Because obviously you're talking about money. Well, money is a big factor when you're going through divorce, right? So what are some of the things that you are guiding people around, your clients around during this time?
The very first thing is they are always needing a peace of mind and a quick fix for their pain of, oh my God, I don't even know, Olivia, where are the assets? I don't know where to start. So I help them. I'm listening, I empathize, and I give them that quick solution of, okay, no matter where the assets are, that's okay. We can get the right people involved, like forensic accountants, business valuators if there's businesses and hidden assets. If he has a girlfriend and he's paying her $20, $30K a month, we will find those assets if it's needed. So I give her that peace of mind of, you're in good hands, I'm listening, and it's completely valid to not know where anything is. You've been the stay-at-home mom for 20 years, and that wasn't your job. So validating, listening, and then giving that little fix of, we will be in this together, or I'll get the right people involved. You're okay.
Yes. And probably that just sets the table so well for having the further conversations, but listening and going, hey, I've figured, like what a couple of things you just said there crossed my mind is like, oh, guess I never would have thought about that. And oh, that's a good point. So you're probably bringing up things that in the heat of the moment that they might not even think about. And I think that you're able to bring kind of that clarity of thought to the situation, right?
Yes. And you know what's interesting is you say that, and I think of like the insurance salesmen who put fear into their clients to get them to buy something. And it's like, I do bring up past stories of women that I helped before bad things happened. And if they wouldn't have worked with me, these bad things could have happened. So I do, bring things up in a different way because they need to know, but there's clarity in it. Yeah. Lots of clarity.
Yeah, but it's not fear. It's just
realism.
Not at all. There's a difference.
Exactly. Blunt realizes, the honesty is there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like, oh, you're a pessimist or you're trying to, it's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And obviously,
exactly.
I don't know. I think that sometimes people shy away from, like for instance, that made me think of when my kids were little and you would go to the soccer games and, oh, we don't keep score. Everyone's a winner. And it's like, well, hold up. Someone's got to win. So, keep score. Someone's got to win. So it's not like you are going, oh, we're going to pound you over the head with this because look what will happen. So you better get my thing or let me help you. But it's like, hey, it's when you play chess and you make a move and you keep your finger on it, you're looking around. You're like, okay, what could happen? Okay, I'm good. So when you can say, hey, if we don't go down this path, here's some things that can happen. Now, what you just described to me makes me think about the word retirement. Well, a lot of people need to make financial moves well ahead of retirement, not 2 weeks before. Mm. So and unfortunately, the divorce topic doesn't have a fluid start and end date. So it's not like retirement is going to be around age whatever. So what do you advise a female, a woman that you're working with to go, okay, here's some things you need to do before you step through this, but you know what? You're not going through it right now. So when do you start thinking about these things?
It depends on where they are, because some women call me and they say, I don't know if I can leave because financially I'm fearful that I won't be able to survive on my own. Mm-hmm. So those conversations, I'm going to set them up for success of you need to have your credit, you need to know where you're at with your credit score, because most of the time these women have never opened anything on their own. And how are they going to survive post-divorce if they can't even open a bank account or have a rent, in their name? So, because you can have $100 million, but you can't go get something with credit if you don't have it. So it depends on where they're at. If they're during divorce, I will be advocating and helping watch and talk about what spousal supports they should take and how to actually work with their soon-to-be ex, because I never want fighting. I think that that's chaos, and that's what I saw in my childhood with my parents' divorce, ultra-high net worth family. It's not the right way to go, and we want their kids to actually end up successful and happy without trauma. So the way I do it is just simple and pointing out whatever they need wherever they're at in the divorce process.
That's such a huge piece is you didn't answer that question by saying, well, I've got these weapons that I know how to stick it to the.
Exactly.
No, you're just going, you know what? Let's see if we can just kind of all be cool and smooth and work through this.
Exactly.
So that's a great point. In fact, I was talking to someone earlier today that you ever heard of the phrase unique selling proposition, like in marketing, like a USP. Well, the way that their company talks about it is a unique value proposition, because in reality, we're just providing value. We're not selling. So what you just described there was this smooth feeling of, okay, there's some landmines and there's some hurdles in the road. I'm going to show you how to get around and over and through, but we're not going to be busting through, like 100 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I see when I go to your website, I see that you've got quite a bit of press and media and news. What is it about your work that gets so much attention? Because I would venture to say that if someone is thinking about going through a divorce, they're not Googling, to find you. They don't even know that your kind of service exists.
I would say, word of mouth and reputation is everything. And then personality-wise, if you're inspiring and you're doing the right thing, I think I've gained attention just because it is so different what I'm doing. And no one at all. I knew that before I started my firm. No one's going to be looking up to find how, I can't talk to someone at the country club or my friends about what's going on in this divorce and how do I actually, make sure I can survive post-divorce financially. No one looks that up on the internet, who to find. But it is all about the structure, I think, of what I put in place and how I've stuck with it, because I do not go outside of my lane. I do not. And that's extremely rare, and I think that's gotten a lot of attention because of those reasons.
Well, and I think that the old phrase, word of mouth sounds very cliche, but I've said over the years so many times that many times the best marketing is a job well done. And when you follow through on what you've described, I treat people well. I don't, try to cause friction. We try to mitigate around it, and I listen, I empathize. Well, isn't the best, your team of ambassadors are your lady clients that have gone through it and gone, wow,
Mm-hmm.
Olivia was there for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got a gal, that's a huge thing. And you don't need to have Facebook ad campaigns. You just need to go, I got you.
Yep. I'm not on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of those because I don't need it. And I also turn down, most of the women that I talk to, I either turn them down in a nice, subtle way or say, you need to I think that you can work on your marriage, let's say, and talk to a marriage therapist. I'm going to give you the best in the entire country. Here's her name. I don't want to work with everyone because I don't think people should get divorced unless it is a very, very, last resort. So I think that's also different because I'm not dying for business. I'm not wanting everyone's business.
Yeah.
So then more people want you, of course, right?
Well, yeah, but it sounds to me like, we've met a whole 15, 20 minutes ago, but it sounds to me like that's your genuine thing, because I see what you're doing online, which is not advertising campaigns. And I can tell from your website that, apply to work with me. And you just said you will turn people down, but not turn them down cold, guide them in a different direction. Like, hey, you ought to try this, and I think I think when people hear that and experience that and go, well, now that lady might still come back to you months down the road because that option didn't work, but at least they saw, wow, that trust was built up so high when you told me this.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So, hey, let's wrap up with this. I'm sure, at the very beginning, we could have gone, hey, what's your story? But what's the story of you getting into this work? Is there like a story of here's me and I want to prevent you or help you get through this the same way that I did?
I had that traumatic childhood divorce story. So I saw my mom, who wasn't the one dealing with the finances, didn't know anything about it, and it just destroyed our family. So divorce can be done a different way. And I got into the financial field to be able to control my own success with money. And I did that very well in all of my 20s. And I started my firm specifically for business niche. I saw a need, but then also to really fix and help women not make the same mistakes my family did. So there is a backstory there.
Yeah. And, sometimes I'll interview, let's say, a chiropractor that'll say, when I was a kid, I had this and no one could figure out. And then along came. Mm-hmm. Well, when you can say, you know what, and I'm certain that in your dealings with your clients, you'll mention some little nuance and they'll go, yes. And it's like, for instance, for me, I've never been in the military, so I could never, know all of the intricacies of someone that's been in the military. I wouldn't even try. Mm-hmm. Well, if you had never been through that traumatic experience, you might not have that same element. Now, you might provide the same care and advocacy, but there would be that missing element. So I think that really is a big piece that you bring.
Agreed.
Well, Olivia, let's wrap up with this. If someone is hearing this and going, you know what, maybe it's worth a conversation, what's the best way they can reach out and connect with you?
My website is thesummerhillfirm.com. And so it'll tell you exactly who I work with and you'll learn there. And then also I have a divorce podcast. So it's Divorce for Wealthy Women on Apple and anywhere else you listen to your podcast.
Excellent. Well, Olivia, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a real pleasure getting to know you.
You're so welcome. Nice to meet you as well.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.